What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly how to DIY carbon clean your intake ports and intake valves. And this is going to be something that pretty much anyone can do from home. It's not going to require you to get some fancy equipment like a walnut blaster or something like that. Now then, it is not a required thing to do, but I have actually removed my engine. You can do it when the engine is still in place on the car. All you need to do is remove the intake manifold, but because I have the engine out, I figured it's easier to do it when the engine is completely out and away from the car. Obviously you do have much better access, but like I said, you can still do it when it is still in situ on the car. Okay then, so this is what the intake valves look like at the moment. As you can see, very clogged up, and it's something that we need to clean off because this is vastly restricting airflow. And the only thing you need to clean your intake ports and intake valves is ideally a drill, but it's not needed. Some fine brushes. So in here we have steel, we have brass, and then we also have nylon. I'll be starting off using the nylon because obviously it's the softest. So if I need to go up and use the brass ones, I will. I don't plan on using the steel ones because it's going to be too harsh on the aluminium cylinder head. But we have an extension here so we can fit the brushes into the drill, and obviously we get a lot better clean with that. Also have some EGR and carb cleaner. This is what it's going to help break up the carbon, and then once all the carbon is broke loose, we will be sucking it out with a modified vacuum cleaner. So it's just a standard vacuum cleaner, and then we've put a small hose on the end. It's just taped in, it's got a nice tight seal there, and that's small enough to get down the intake ports. Okay, now then, a important word of warning when you're cleaning your intake ports and intake valves is you need to ensure that your intake valves are closed. Do not go cleaning an intake port and intake valve where the valve is open, because whatever you clean off, you know, if you go ahead and spray carb cleaner down there, it's all going to fall straight into the cylinder, and it's not good. So the easiest way to ensure that your valves are closed is to take the rocker cover off. Okay then, so once you've taken the rocker cover off, you'll see the camshafts. Now if the camshaft lobes, so that's these things here, if they're pointed upwards, it means that the intake valves are closed. Now obviously all of the intake valves can't be closed at the same time, so what you need to do is tackle the ones first where the camshaft lobes are pointing up. So for example, on these ones it'd be these intake valves, and also on these ones as well, these intake valves. And then obviously you have to rotate the engine around by turning the crankshaft pulley, and then obviously then you will go ahead and tackle the other ones as well. Okay then, so I'm going to start on these intake ports because I know that these intake valves are closed, the camshaft lobes are pointing up. So what I've done is blocked this intake port and this intake port, just so no crap can fly down those ones, because obviously these valves are open, we don't want anything falling down those. And what I am actually going to go do as well is put the rocker cover back on. Obviously not going to bolt it up, just rest it on top, just so none of this carbon flies all over the camshaft. So I could go ahead and just use the drill with the brush on the end in here straight away, but what I'm actually going to go do is just use a screwdriver just to get rid of the worst of this carbon. And obviously you would need to be careful not to scratch the cylinder head, so I'm not going to like start scraping it. I'm just going to try and pick up any loose bits of carbon, just so it means that the brush doesn't get clogged up. Okay then, so with the worst of the carbon removed, I'm going to go ahead and start using the carb cleaner, and then go ahead and start using the drill. Okay, now obviously once you have sprayed the carb cleaner down there and then you've used the brush on the end of the drill, what you're going to be left with at the bottom of the intake port is just kind of like a sludge. So what you can do is get a tissue and just force that in with a screwdriver, because obviously we will be removing this, and hopefully soak up as much as that liquid as possible. And then once you pull it out, it's going to look something like that. And now I'm going to have a go with the vacuum cleaner. Okay then, so that's those two done. We are now going to take the rocker cover off again, crank the engine round, and then do 2 more intake valves. Okay, so it's going to be the same process again then. I'm going to use the screwdriver to remove the worst of the carbon, and then we will go ahead and start using the brush on the end of the drill and carb cleaner, and it's just going to be a case of doing a few cycles of that until we get them to a point where we are happy with how they're looking. Okay then, so here is how you would clean it, obviously, if you did not have a drill. My drill battery has actually died, so it's on charge, and now I'm just doing it manually with the screwdriver with the brush on the end. Okay then, so this is the finished product then. This is what the intake ports themselves look like, and as you can see, it looks so much better than it did before. Like I said, not perfect by any means, but so much better than it was. Okay then, so that is the DIY carbon clean done on my intake ports and intake valves. Now bearing in mind, this is a diesel engine, so the intake ports are covered in a lot more carbon than a petrol engine intake ports would be, and that is because of the EGR system on the diesel engine. Now the EGR system has actually been removed, so it shouldn't actually get in that bad of a state again. The valves themselves though, they may get a bit more carboned up because it is a direct injection engine. That is the nature of it. It injects the fuel directly into the cylinders as opposed to into the intake ports over the top of the intake valves. Alright then, so I hope this video has been somewhat helpful. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I want to thank you guys for watching. So please give this video a like, leave your comment down below, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and I will see you guys in that next video. Peace!